There is a temple outside Mumbai where I was just like awestruck. People around me were screaming, falling down.
It is called Bhutan. It's a set rule that they would have to do it every year. Otherwise, they are going to face the wrath of the Bhutans.
Like, what happened?
People will not have a girl to get married with.
You guys can be organized a Bhutan. You've interacted with a deity?
Yes.
Wanna share that experience?
It's a temple dedicated to Subramanya, Kartikeya.
You see Bollywood heroines going there.
Yes.
Why specifically?
The deity cannot talk. I have a daughter. He may ask, how does this deity know I have a daughter or not?
I meant to say when the deity hit the person.
He may just slap hard.
Why did someone get hard slapped?
Probably
The deity that I'm worshipping right now, I've been told not to talk about it often. I feel that since I've started worshipping that deity, things have started flowing much faster in my life. This episode, a lot of people would count it as like paranormal. It seems so ethereal, it seems so above human life.
I would think the same if it was 3 years back.
So we've done a bunch of Tantra episodes in the past, but this episode with Rithwik Subramanya is heavily about what Kantara was about. Kolas, the different rituals, the different tantric practices that are part of Western and Southwestern India. This is a subject by itself, and you'll understand why I'm saying that if you complete the entire episode. Lots of spiritual conversation in this one, lots of cultural conversation in this one. If you enjoyed Kantara and if you want to know more about the subject, this is the episode for you. This is Rithwik Bhai on TRS. Another episode of TRS. If you're watching the video version of this episode, it's the first time we're using our new gear. That gets me very excited about this particular art form. But it gets me even more excited to know that we have Rithwik Bhai in the house.
Thank you so much. My honor and pleasure.
So you're the authority on a very peculiar niche that's only present in the southern part of India. And maybe, I would go as far as saying maybe only Karnataka
Karnataka and Kerala.
and Kerala.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a very particular part of the earth. And the weird thing is that most people from India don't truly understand your niche. So, 2 questions for you.
Yeah.
Firstly, how are you?
Fantastic.
Okay.
I was great, and after coming to this studio, I'm even more great.
Well, thank you for being here, sir.
Yeah.
Second, what is the niche that we're speaking about in your own words?
See, the term Bhuta, if I say Bhuta in any of the Indic languages, they would come up with a negative connotation. Like Bhut, Pishach, Pret, all that.
They think ghost.
They think ghost. In a very simple term, they think it as a ghost with a negative connotation. But Bhuta in Tulu is the Apabhramsha form of Putam, Sanskrit word Putam. Putam means clarified or purified. In a very simple term, we can say Bhuta as a positive nature spirit,
Okay.
which is there for the protection, security, and welfare of the people in Tulunadu. When I say Tulunadu, Tulunadu is the southwestern part of Karnataka, which starts from, say, Baindur or Kundapur. That's a small town. From there to Mangalore in the south, and it goes even further and enters Kerala all the way till Nileshwar, somewhere near Kochi.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is the niche of Bhuta Aradhane. It's a parallel system of positive spirits very much present in that part of the country.
Why does it stop at the edges of that stretch?
That land is called as Parashurama Kshetra. So that is the land set to be built, reclaimed from the sea from Parashuram. So that entire stretch is built by Parashurama.
You want to give us the story a little bit?
Yeah, it's a very simple story. Parashurama takes around the earth killing Kshatriyas for 21 times. We see that, we hear that in all of the Puranas. So once he completes that cycle of 21, he comes back and people tell him that where is your own native? Because you have traveled the world, you have killed people who are bad. So why don't you have a land of yourself? That is when Parashurama decides to create a land and then he throws his axe. That is why he's called as Parshu, because his name is Rama, Bhargava Rama. He has a Parshu in his hand, that is the axe. He throws into the sea, fearing that Parshu, sea goes back. So we have in Bandra, we have sea reclamation. Very similarly, we have seen that in our Puranas done by Parshurama. So that reclamation of the land is from Karwar in the north, that's the Karnataka-Goa border, to Nileshwar or Thrissur in the south in Kerala. That entire stretch is called as Parshurama Kshetra.
Okay.
So every day when we do Sandhya Vandana, we say, Kali Yuga Prathama Kande, Jambu Dvipe, Godavarya Dakshinitire, Bharata Kande, Parshurama Kshetre. So we have that mention in all our scriptures. So that is a very, very, very unique land, nowhere to be seen elsewhere in the world.
And the people, they're more chilled out than usual.
Absolutely.
Is that true?
They're chilled out, they're spiritual, they're very good at heart. So they are a mix of everything.
Okay. Yeah, this is one thing you get to learn in Mumbai if you interact with the Shetty community enough.
True.
And there's a huge Shetty community in Mumbai.
True.
The stereotype about Shetties outside the Shetty community is that, okay, and I'll tell you, when I hang out with my Sindhi or Punjabi bros, we love Shetty bros. But what we talk amongst each other is that all of you guys have a very similar vibe. Like, you can spot a Shetty person.
Correct.
Very relaxed, very easygoing, but it's also a little bit of like, they don't take shit from anybody kind of vibe.
Very true. Very
So
true. Yeah.
it's either like fully aggressive towards like enemies or fully brotherly towards 99% of the people they meet.
Correct. Very true.
And I feel traditionally speaking, the culture comes from Bhutaradhana
Yes.
and other rituals. I feel like because that stretch of land is so spiritual, maybe all those communities have been blessed with this edge.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
So, see, like I told you, it's a Parshurama Kshetra. So we have a trinity worship there, not the Vedic trinity. Threefold worship, we can say. One is the worship of the Vedic gods like Shiva, Vishnu, Subramanya, Ganapati, Devi, Shakta worship, everything. That's one fold. Second fold is the Naga worship. Since it was the land of Nagas, so we have taken that land from them, so we worship them. So we believe they were our ancestors because they were holding that land beneath the sea before Parshurama reclaimed. So that is the land of Nagas. Third, the most important is the land of, since it's the land of Bhutas also, so we worship them as well. So we have, this is the only unique thing that is nowhere to be seen elsewhere in India. So this is the threefold worship that we do. All three are important. So Shiva, if I am a practicing Shaivite, then I will worship Shiva. At the same time, I'll go to a Naga Bana. It's a place dedicated to Nagas. We enter that only on, say, Naga Panchami day. Otherwise, it's totally closed. Nobody enters that.
What's inside?
It's a Nagabana. We see snakes there. We see king cobras. We see Nagas, cobras. So it's a very spiritual place dedicated only for the use and livelihood of Nagas. So humans don't enter there.
Okay.
We don't interfere into their matter.
Okay.
So that's Nagabana. That's also seen only in Dakshin Kannada and northern part of Kerala, Malabar.
Okay.
The Malabar region.
And the third one
is the Bhutakola. So Bhutaradhane. So that is very unique. And in every property, if I am a Mangalorean, if I am a person belonging to South Canara, then I will have Bhuta Kone. Kone in Tulu or Kannada means a room dedicated to Bhutas. So it is there in every property.
A room dedicated to
Yeah,
Bhutas.
a room. Like we have a prayer room, God's room. Likewise, we have a Bhuta Kola, Bhuta Kone.
Okay. I never heard of Bhutakola until I heard of Kantara.
Right.
And then someone spoke about Kantara on the show. Then I went and watched the movie.
Right.
I'm actually a little surprised as a practicing Hindu that I hadn't heard of this before Kantara. But, maybe on a metaphysical level, as Rajashi Nandi has told me many times over, that it's the will of the deities to spread their knowledge when the time is right, or spread knowledge about themselves when the time is right.
Correct.
this is such a wide and thick topic. I actually don't know where to begin. So let's begin with a pop culture angle, which is Kantara.
Right.
Do you want to talk very briefly about the movie, especially for people who haven't watched it? And I'm hoping that we have a lot of international viewers also who have no idea what we're talking about.
Correct.
So maybe you want to give a bit of a 101 on Hindu practices also.
Panjurli, let's talk about Panjurli. Panjurli is the main deity which is depicted in the movie. So Panjurli is one entity which we have seen references in Varaha or any of the Vedic scriptures, wherein like you have heard about Dashavatar.
Yes.
So there is Matsya, Kurma, Varaha. So during the Varaha avatar, Varaha takes the earth on its teeth or the horns. Varaha basically means a white boar. Shweta Varaha means white boar. So he lifts the earth from the ocean and with his two teeth. So once he lifts, he starts sweating. And that sweat starts to drop in the southwestern region of India. So Nairutya, southwest. When those sweat starts to fall, it becomes, small plant starts to grow. And that we call it as the babies of the white boar. Babies of the white boar in Tulu is called as Panji Kurli. Panji means boar, a white boar. Kurli means the babies. So we find the reference of Panjurli even in the Vedic scriptures. In Varaha Avatar, even in Mahabharata, there is a reference of Panji Kurli. So Panjurli also comes from this thing. So it is as old as our Vedic Puranic scriptures. This entire story is about Panjurli and Guliga.
You're talking about Kantara.
Kantara, yeah. So Panjurli is the soft, motherly guide who treats people of South Canara as their foster children. So he's very peaceful. He's only looking after the security of the people. Guliga, on the other end, wherein at the very climax, he turns himself into a dark guy with a dark complexion and he starts eating during the climax. He's Guliga. Guliga is there for the protection of the people in his fiercest form. He's very ferocious and we call him as the Kshetrapala. Kshetrapala is something happened to me or to my property. That is when I invoke Guliga.
A protector deity.
To protect or to kill my enemy. So that is what has happened. See, the villagers in that movie are very novice, very innocent. They don't know about the cunning character of that villain in that movie. So he tries to gallop the entire property of the village. That is when Guliga comes into the picture. Till then, only Panjurli was there to have the unity of the people, of the villagers and the king. They wanted the unification of these two people, but then the king or that particular leader did not listen to the villagers' request. That is when Guliga gets activated. So these two are the faces of the same Bhuta tradition. One is the calmer version, the other is the fiercest version.
Okay. I'm just going to give a small 101 to many of the listeners who are not too familiar with Kantara or even aspects of Hinduism like this. So Hinduism has many different sects, honestly, which should be peaceful amongst each other, but there is a small bit of competition nowadays. I don't understand why. Okay. There's Vaishnavism, Shaivism, Shaktism, and more spread all over India. The landmass of India has followed different traditions of Sanatan Dharma. The word Hindu is something that people from outside use to reference what is Sanatan Dharma, which is a collection of all these practices.
Correct.
So the stretch of land you're speaking about has some peculiar practices of Sanatan Dharma within itself. There is a very big concept of deities across Sanatan Dharma.
Right.
A deity is a manifestation of God.
Correct.
It's the same as God. It's the same as the ultimate divine. But when the ultimate divine chooses to express a version of itself in order to represent certain aspects of itself.
Correct.
For example, Panjurli Devta. So it is somewhat related to Vishnu Bhagwan, who is one of the key gods within Hinduism, who is basically considered God.
Right.
So is Panjurli Devta. But it's just a more condensed form of God for protection, for blessings, for that stretch of land.
Right.
Now, when we're talking about your community, all those communities in that stretch of land, there is an event that happens every week, probably?
No, every year.
Every year.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the event called?
That entire event is called Bhuta Kola.
Okay.
So Bhuta means we would have to have a periodic propitiation. So it doesn't mean we have to call that Bhuta. We have to meet that Bhuta in the form of a human being. That person or a priest is called Pambada. So it's the two-way communication that happens. So usually Vedic gods, it's just one way. We visit a temple, we pray to him, we come back. But this particular sect or this particular tradition believes in a two-way communication. Let's say we go back 50 years, there's no electricity, there's no security that we have. Today we have mobile phones, we have light, we have everything, we have CCTV cameras, everything. But 50 years back, 100 years back, we didn't have any of those things. And Mangalore and that entire belt is totally, it's an evergreen forest. So if you just stand out of your house, it's filled with darkness. So let's say it's after 6 o'clock till the early morning, there's nothing but darkness. So that is when you fear. That is when you have to rely on somebody to protect you. Okay. That is when the relevance of these Bhuta Radhane, these sect of gods come into the picture.
Yeah. You know, there are limitations of the English language, which is why I'm struggling to explain this concept in English.
Right.
But maybe for Abrahamic religions, the way they have farishte or angels, this could be a parallel of that. Of course, when you say that to Rajarshi Nandi and advanced level Tantra practitioners, they might say that, no, this is not angels. This is literally God in a condensed form.
Right.
Now, the thing is, when a lot of people witness Bhuta Kola, they might even get scared, especially if they don't understand what's happening.
Correct.
You see a lot of these reels go viral where people actually invoking the deity within themselves.
Right.
And it is a very intense thing to witness. And that's what I think Rishabh Shetty tried showing in a very spiritual way through Kantara.
Absolutely. Okay. That's right. So, we cannot, like Rajarshi Nandi says, it is very difficult to connect with Shiva. It may take you many, many lifetimes. But Shiva has sent his Gana or his troop to communicate with people. So, Daivas are also a part of Shiva Gana. And when I say Panjurli, it's a part of Vishnu Gana.
Got it.
So, we cannot connect with Vishnu. We cannot connect with Ranveer. So, we have his managers whom I can connect with. So similarly, we have managers of Shiva who are a part of Shiva Gana. Like for example, in Thrissur in Kerala, we have something called as Kutti Chatan. They are a part of Shiva Gana. They are 390 in number. Specifically created for that purpose. Say if you are very fearful, then there's one deity who will take off your fear. If you have lost something, if you've lost your gold ring, then there's one more Kutti Chatan who will help you bring back that golden ring.
Wow.
So you're struggling with, say, speech. There's one Kutti Chatan who will help you come out with very good speech or stage fear or whatever. All these petty things, 390 of them, we have recorded history of those Kutti Chatans. So the head of that entire 390 Koti Chatans is the brother of Ayyappa. He's called as Vishnu Maya.
Ayyappa
is the Shabrimala Ayyappa. Have you heard about Shabrimala?
I've heard the name Ayyappa, but I thought it's another name for Kartikeya.
No.
Okay, so, it's another...
He's the brother of Kartikeya, but he is not Kartikeya.
Ayyappa is the brother of Kartikeya.
Yes. So formed out of the union of Hari and Hara.
Which is?
Hari is Shiva. Hari is Vishnu. Shiva is Hara. So Hari in the form of Mohini. Have you heard about the Samudra Manthan story?
Yes,
wherein Mohini comes and she gives that Amrut Prasad to all of them. That is when the union happens. Right at the end. The union between... See, it is a cosmic allegory. It's not the physical union. It is the symbolic union that happens between Hari and Hara. So Vishnu and Shaiva entity come together to form Ayyappa.
Got it.
Similarly, there is another brother. There are 4 sons of Shiva. One is the famous Ganapati, and then there is Subramanya, that's the Kartikeya. Then there is Ayyappa, then there is Vishnu Maya. So Ayyappa and Vishnu Maya are found in Kerala. Kartikeya is predominantly found in Tamil Nadu.
Got it.
So all the major famous temples of Subramanya are based in Tamil Nadu and in Karnataka.
Yeah, I've often wondered why these deities are not spoken about in North India.
Right. Yeah.
Have you ever?
He comes down to South India. So there's this. I may be drifting away from my topic, but then there's this competition between Ganesha and Kartikeya that happens. Like whoever takes the 3 times, whoever takes around the world for 3 times, they'll get this famous fruit that was given by Narada to Shiva. Narada comes to Kailasa and he gives a fruit. And he says that give this fruit to the intelligent son of yours and Parvati's. Then Shiva starts a competition and he says that whoever takes around the world for 3 times will get this fruit. This fruit is called as Jnanaphala. Jnanaphala means the fruit of the knowledge or the fruit of the wisdom. So both of them start their journeys, and Kartikeya or Subramanya climbs on his peacock and he starts going around the world. In the meantime, what Ganapati does is he takes turn around, making Shiva and Parvati sit in the center. He takes turn around them for 3 times. And then he says, my world are my parents. So taking around my parents is like a world tour to me. So that is when these two, Shiva and Parvati, gets amazed with his wisdom and they give him the fruit. In the meantime, Kartikeya goes around the world. He travels all around the world and then he comes back after taking around the world, revolving around the world for 3 times. He comes back and he sees that Ganesha is already awarded. And to his utter dismay, he fights with his parents and he goes to Palani Kshetra. Palani is somewhere near to Salem, Coimbatore, Salem. That's where he goes and stands in agony and in anger. That's when Parvati comes to console him and he says, you yourself are a fruit. Why do you want a different fruit from outside? You yourself are a fruit of wisdom. So that is when she says Palamni. Phalam is fruit in Tamil. Even in Hindi, it is called Phal. So Phal Ni means you. You yourself are a fruit. That is the Sthala Purana of Palani. One of the most powerful and yet very significant kshetra of Subramanya in South.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think this is a great point to talk about the first time you ever experienced a Bhutakola. What were you thinking as a child?
I thought it's a cultural act of dance and drama for me. So I thought people may come here at the center, at the epicenter, and they'll start dancing and one will get the hallucination, or we say darshana in Tulu or Kannada. The most important part is the darshana. That is when the deity comes into the body of the performer or the pambada. That is where he goes into the ecstatic stage. So that is the most important aspect.
But did you think it's an act, or did you know that there's something spiritual happening in front of you?
When I witnessed it for the first time, I thought it's just an act.
Do you want to describe it a bit in terms of what do you see? What do you actually witness?
As a child or now, right now?
I'm assuming that it's the same ritual that you saw as a child, right?
Absolutely.
So why don't you describe the ritual first, then explain what you saw, and then explain at what point you figured that what you're witnessing is also a blessing.
Right. So there are about 22 ritualistic practices that they do in a Bhutakola. It's a highly scientific, highly step-by-step procedure that one has to follow while performing the act. Even when I say act, it is act of God, because we heavily rely on the deity to come. So there are 6 practices which are done before the actual Bhutakola and 16 practices during the performance of Bhutakola. So shall I explain each of the steps?
Go for it.
Okay. The first step is the organizer. In Hindi or in Kannada, we can say as the Yajaman. He's the owner or the organizer of that Bhutakola. I may organize it because it is a regulation or a rule that I have to do it every year. Otherwise, I might be facing some problems in my family or in the village. So I would have to invoke him. So there are many reasons as to why I have to organize.
And the same person does it every year.
It depends. So if it is a family tradition, then the head of the family will do it. The eldest of the family will do it. If it's the village Bhutakola, then the head of the village should do it, like the Sarpanch or any politician should do it. So if it is a village Bhutakola, then it's a regulation. It's a set rule that they would have to do it every year or every once in 2 years. That has to happen. Otherwise, they are going to face the wrath of the Bhuta. We have seen it in many villages. We have seen the wrath of Bhutas.
Like what happens?
Sudden famine starts to happen. There is sudden flooding that starts to happen, and then there are instances where people between the age of 25 and 35 will not have a girl to get married with. So there'll be rejections of the girls. So many things happen.
Guys, can we organize a Bhutakola? Sorry. Go on.
So these kind of things happen, which are very much in the material aspect of a society.
Okay.
That is when we have to invoke.
Why do people choose not to do it if it's a part of tradition? Because they think it's old school?
Some of them may feel it's old school. Some of them probably because of financial conditions, they may there'll be some kind of reluctance because they may not have that money. People may assume that he's a rich guy, but then he might be facing some financial issues. Probably for that, he may be reluctant. So there are many problems that may happen, but it has to happen.
Okay.
If it's a niyama, in Tulu and Kannada, we call it as niyama. Rule. So if it is a niyama, they have to do it.
Okay.
So this Yajaman will go to the Bhutakone, like I've explained what is Bhutakone. He has to take bath and then he has to carry a ghee lamp, or else he has to, do Agni Diya, has to be lit in front of the Bhuta, and then he has to request him, saying that I wish to organize a Bhutakola. So you have to come that day to that arena and you have to make sure that the event occurs without any obstacles. So this is the first process that the Yajamana does. So with all the ritualistic this thing, he has to go and approach the Bhuta. And then once that is done, probably 3 to 4 days before the actual event, he will say that the event will be held on this day. It is a night-long event. It's not a morning event. It's done in the night. So he will talk with that deity. And then...
what does that mean?
We call it as Madipu. Madipu means to go and talk with that god. Saying that he will talk in Tulu.
Okay. But the deity is already gone inside someone's...
No.
Then?
That happens only during the Bhutakola. This is the practice done before the Bhutakola. Like how we talk to God in any of the temples, we go to this Bhutakone and then we say, we've organized this. Let's assume this is a Bhutakone and I'll go to the Bhutakone and I'll lit a ghee lamp and I'll take the permission that I'm organizing this. I am so and so person belonging to so and so family, and I wish to organize this Bhutaradhane. I want you to come and make sure that this event happens without any obstacles.
Okay.
So in Kannada we call it as Sangavagi Nadiyabeku. Sanga means without any obstacles. Okay. So this is done. Once this is done, he tells there are the employees or the farmers who are working in the field, he will let them know that they have to go into the field and cut a bunch of banana fruit. Not fully ripe, say green bananas. And then they take that entire bunch, you know this entire bunch of banana, right? So they take that and put it in that Bhutakone, saying that we're just we have not just spoken about it. We are very serious about organizing this. That's the reason we have cut the banana fruit and we are keeping it in front of you.
This is basically some format of tantra also, where you're offering
Yes.
you're offering food for the deity. You're
Yes.
trying to invoke the deity.
Yes. And not just that, we are telling him that we are very serious about the happening. We are very serious about the organization of that event on that day. So cutting of the fruit means we are ready
Understood.
with the event. And we have to make sure that this banana should not be touched or eaten by rats, squirrels, or any kind of birds. So it has to be a purified banana bunch that we have to keep.
Okay.
If there is if rat or any of the animals eat it, then there's the ullangana that happens. So we may have to face the wrath of the god during the event.
That happens.
Sometimes it happens.
So what happens during the event?
He may shout at us. He may shout at the organizer saying that it was eaten by a rat. You've done a mistake. And he has to do a paschatap. He has to do something to again say sorry
Okay.
in some or the other manner.
Yeah. Okay.
So this is the second part. The third part is Dolu Leppo. Dolu Leppo is there's a community called Koraga. They're the tribals or the Harijans of that region. They're very closely associated with the practice of Bhutakola.
This is not the inhabitants of the villages.
They are.
Okay.
So, the entire land is filled with forest. Even a normal man will stay in the forest. Even the Koragas will stay in the same forest.
But there's a division, as in there are the tribal folk and then there is village folk.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, the division is slightly decreasing.
Got it.
Before that, there was a demarcation.
But they'll pray to the same deity.
Absolutely.
And I'm also assuming that every village will have its own deity.
Yes.
In the same way that we have Kul Devta, this is somewhat like that.
This is the Kshetrapala deities.
Okay.
This is for the protection. Not just one. We may have 3. We may have 5. We may have 7.
Got it.
So this entire deity is attached to a stone. If you have seen Kantara, the king or the people goes into the forest and looks for that particular stone.
Yeah.
So the entire practice revolves around this stone. And we find that energy of that deity inside that stone. This stone is kept on a pedestal in that Bhutakone.
Okay.
Right. So this is very closely, more than the Brahmins or more than the, there's no upper caste, lower caste, nothing as such, because this is a unifying event wherein there's no difference between there's no caste play here. There's no religion play also. So these people are closely associated.
Okay.
The Koragas. So what they do is they go to each and every household, and Dolu is that dole that you see. They go on announcing. It's the kind of marketing promotional activity that happens, that Bhutakola is organized on so and so date. So we request you villages to come and be a part of the Bhaktagana. Become a devotee in that particular event. So this is the third most important activity. These are the 3 things which is done way before the actual event. Then comes the fourth most important is the Ganapati Deepune, wherein they take mud from the place where the event is held in a mushti. They take it from the ground and they make in this shape, and then they put it on the ground and have a hibiscus flower on top of the mud formation. And they say we are praying to Ganapati to stop all the obstacles to happen for the event that is coming up.
How do you know all this in so much detail?
I have seen that.
Okay.
I've gone there.
Have you organized?
No.
Okay.
I'm too young to organize.
You're too young to organize.
Yeah,
That's also a thing?
Because there are elders in the family who will take care of these activities.
Do you think you'll organize at some point in your life?
Probably.
Is there an elder in your family?
My father is there.
He's an organizer.
He has his brother also.
Okay.
So there's this elder brother, And then we have, my father has a lot of cousins who takes care of this. They are in Mangalore right now. They are in that region. So they take care of all these activities.
But it's a part of your bloodline.
Absolutely, yeah. So there's since I come from a Brahmin tradition, we have a temple wherein we have a Kuladevata. So there's a person who takes care of the proceedings of the Kuladevata. Then there's another guy who takes care of our Naga. Like I've mentioned you about the threefold practices. There's one guy who takes care of Naga. There's another uncle of mine who takes care of all the Bhuta. I think we have 3 Bhutas in our family itself.
You mean 3 different deities that can be summoned during a kola?
Yes.
Okay.
So if I organize a Bhuta Kola, if my family organizes a Bhuta Kola, there'll be 3 Bhutas.
In the same
event. Arena, in the same event.
That's too electric in terms of energy.
Absolutely, yeah. And all 3 are very different. All 3 are different. Their stories are different. Their past lives are different. So there's no, they are connected, but the stories are very different. Very unique.
Nature is different.
Like for example, there are Bhutas who come from Brahmin tradition. They're very calm, composed, like Panjurli type. Panjurli is not from Brahmin tradition. It is a totemistic, as in animal background. Like we have Bhutas which have come from animal lives. Like for example, Panjurli can be attained to white boar. Then there is Pili Chandi, which is from tiger origin. Then there is Pili Bhuta, which is from rat origin. Like if a Bhuta has to come in that event, he'll wear a rat mask. If a Pili Chandi has to come into that event, he'll wear a tiger mask. So all the Bhutas are different in itself.
And the characteristics are like those animals?
Yes. They may start acting like a tiger. So there's this 16 procedure that I mentioned. I'm going to talk about it in detail. So that is when they show their characteristics. There are ferocious spirits from Rajasic backgrounds. Like they were soldiers at one point in time. They were safeguarding forts. They were kings or princes at some point in time. They've got into the Daiva fold. So many stories. Right now, I have also referred to a book by Lakshmi G. Prasad. She has mentioned about 2,330 Daivas altogether. Present from Karwar to Kannanur in Kerala. So that's a huge research that she's undertaken. It was started by 2 Britishers, commissioned by the British Empire in 1897. But they wrote in English saying that it's a devil worship. But this is not a devil worship. It is not devil. It's a positive nature spirit.
A lot of people all over the world would look at it that way. But if you're from India, you'll understand what it is.
Yes, true.
Anyway, go on.
So these 2 guys noted about 133 variants of Bhutas. Then there is one more professor in 1985. He mentioned about 295 Bhutas. Right now, in 2023, we have reference to about 2,330 Bhutas.
Okay.
And in our family, we have 3 Bhutas.
Okay.
So I have explained about the 5 rituals which are done before the event. And I have explained about the 4 rituals. The 5th one is the procession that takes place from Bhutakone to the arena, the event where it happens. You might have seen that in the movie, wherein there's a guy who's throwing the crackers and then the police is getting irritated in Kantara. So that is the procession that is taking place in that event. So they have a pallaki, a chariot kind of a thing, wherein 4 people hold it and they take it from that Bhutakone to the arena. That's a huge it's a event with celebrated with great pompous. So to say that people has to know about the procession that is happening. So coming back to the main event, so the performer or the Pambada will start to put Mukhavarnike on his face. That's very important. Applying color on the face based on the characteristic of the Bhuta. So if I put black on my face, it's very ferocious. Then there is yellow, white, red. So depending on the characteristics of the bhuta, he applies Mukhavarnike. That's when the first process of self hypnosis starts in that person. So
Okay.
once he applies color, that's when he thinks he is invoking that daiva. So in the meantime, his sister or his mother or his wife will start singing Pardana. Pardana is a ballad about the heroics of that bhuta. Say if I'm applying, if I want to invoke Panjurli, then the women folk will start singing the Pardana of Panjurli. That is when the slow hypnosis starts. That's when he starts shaking his body.
Have you witnessed this
Yes,
yourself?
yes. It's a public event.
Okay.
So at the corner of that arena, he starts to apply, and then the hypnosis starts.
And you can witness the hypnosis happening.
Yes,
Okay.
very much. So, and then once he applies that color, then he goes ahead and he puts on this headgear based on the characteristics. Everything happens based on the characteristics of that bhuta. So there's a headgear that happens, there's this yedekattu, chest gear that happens, and then the most crucial part is the gaggara, which is unique to the practice of bhuta kola. Gaggara is the anklet made of metallic material. It is kept in front of the bhuta kola, in front of the bhuta. He picks it from there. He takes the blessing of that bhuta. He picks it and then he starts to dance. That is when the actual invoking happens. So he holds it. It has to be put on the anklet, but then before putting it onto his feet, he starts doing this. So if you have observed any of the bhuta kolas, they do this and they start dancing. They start to get into that trance. This is the actual transformation that happens.
And a lot of skeptics would think that all this is an act, but people who witnessed it know that at this point something happens.
Right.
I've been fortunate enough to see a kola. No, I don't think it was like the full demonstration of it, but there is a temple outside Mumbai where a bi-weekly kola happens. There are also temples where this can happen, like every 2-3 days there is a kola. It is a thing, right?
It is a thing.
Okay.
I mean, it is being organized by different people, probably at the same arena.
Okay, got it. Okay.
It's not done by the same party.
Yeah.
Organized by different parties, probably.
The one I saw was a very small one. It wasn't even a fierce cola.
Okay.
When the deity came out, I think coconuts were thrown
Right.
before the deity came
Right,
out. And
right.
when the person in the trance appeared, there were people around me who fainted.
Right.
I was just like awestruck. I was seeing this trance
Right.
going on, and this is very new for me. So I was just in a very absorbing mindset. But people around me were screaming, falling down.
Right.
What's happening in the environment when this trance is going on?
This entire environment becomes a theater because he will start dancing with the gaggara. That's a very unique sound. You can play it later. That's a sound wherein we are invoking the daivas, and it may hit anybody, since the energy of the daiva is coming into that arena, not just in his body, into entire arena or village. So few of the ladies may faint, few of the elders of the family may faint. They may feel some kind of levitation or vibration in the body that happens. These are the things that happens because if a monster as in the energy monster, not in terms of negative connotation, if a highly energy is coming into our surrounding, then people are going to faint.
It's like how you feel warm around a fire.
Absolutely. Something like that. So it is directed towards that person, Pambada. He's the epicenter, but few of the others who are sitting there may feel the energy.
Okay.
So it's a common thing that happens. If a new person is witnessing that, he may also faint. So, but for people in that region, it's a common practice.
Okay.
So he starts dancing that. Once he's done, he puts it into his anklet, and then he takes his kadsale. Kadsale is the sword, and then he takes a bell on his left hand, and he starts to perform. This happens, and this is a very, good to see. Some kind of entertainment can also be mixed with it. So people come here to see that kind of dance, and it's a very unique ritualistic practice that this person performs. So there are about 8 types of ritualistic dance that happens. So we call it as Nalike in Tulu. So after this process, then he takes rest. He drinks coconut water. He drinks intoxicated coconut water as well. We call it as Sendi. Sometime he consumes that. And then once that is done, he'll give prasad in the form of ganda. Ganda means saffron mixed kumkum. So he gives that prasad to everybody. And if we have any questions or any judgments that has to happen, he will be there for us. He will warn us in case we are two brothers and somebody is cheating the other. He may warn that brother that you are cheating your own brother. Make sure you don't do that. Is the word from the deity itself. It's a warning. Then after the warning, he may also confront. He may also be very, very angry, and he may also start shouting for varied reasons. Fourth one is the comforting. So he will say, I am there for you people. You need not worry about anything. Say, let's say there's a tsunami that is happening in the eastern shore of India, in Tamil Nadu, and this Panjurli or this deity will say, I am there to protect you in Mangalore. So people psychologically will think these deities will save us from tsunami. So that is the kind of impact these deities have, wherein if they say a word, it is like a judgment. So he also acts as a tribunal, solving a lot of issues.
I think in ancient Greece, this was called oracle.
Absolutely.
Very similar to oracle.
Yes, it is an oracle.
What is an oracle for people who don't know what that word is?
Oracle as in he also gives prophecies. He may say, don't do this, something going to happen tomorrow. You're not supposed to do it. And then people start cutting trees. There's afforestation that happens. Suddenly a deity will come and warn us that if you do this, this is going to happen. This is the oracle that happens. So, and people have questions like astrological questions. They will be asking about various questions to deities as well. Whether I am planning to do this, is it okay? I am planning to build a 5-star hotel in this region, is it okay? That's when the deity will say, no, don't do it.
Or yes?
Or yes. Or yes, I am there. I am there to protect and make sure you prosper in that business.
Is there any physical interaction? Like
This is the physical interaction that happens through that person.
I meant to say, will the deity hit the person ever?
Sometimes
Really?
there are.
Like the deity hits someone?
Yeah.
Like what?
He may just slap
Hard.
soft, all kinds of confrontation that happens.
You've seen a hard slap?
I have seen.
Why did someone get hard slapped?
Probably he may be standing there questioning the deity, questioning the very existence of the deity, or acting stupid, standing in front of them in disbelief. You are just a person, you're not the deity. Probably this is what is in his mind, that person's mind. And suddenly the deity may come and slap. There's this small practice called Sabin Depune, wherein the deity comes and stands in front of each of the individuals sitting in the front row. He checks whether this person has come, So you have organized this event. The deity will make sure your brother, your mother, your father, your sister, your wife, everybody has come to that event. If your brother has not come to that event, he will ask you, where is your brother? He may question you through symbols, or he may ask you also, where is your brother? Where is he? What is he doing right now? This may be the question. So I have seen such acts. Let's assume that I'm sitting in the third row. The deity cannot talk. So I have a daughter. He may ask. So these are the postures that they make.
Through gestures they might ask.
Through gestures. So, and I feel taken aback. How does this deity know I have a daughter or not?
Okay.
So this is what is making people come back to organize, to perform. Because when you know that there's something unknown which is bigger, mightier than you, then you will have to rely on that energy.
When you experience it, you know that divinity exists within it.
Very true.
Until then, you might keep doubting, but when you see it with your own eyes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've interacted with a deity.
Yes, yes.
You want to share that experience?
My father-in-law had organized one Bhutakola in a place called Bontatka, a very tiny village near Mudbidre. So he went and approached the deity and said that my son-in-law has to have a good business run. So make sure that the businesses run very well. So, and then that's when the deity said, I will be there to protect your business. You need not worry about it. And then he may give a kunkum or a leaf, whatever in his hand. There's this areca nut leaf, the plantain. We call it as adike in Kannada, the tobacco areca nut plant. He may give that as a mark of blessing or as a mark of a good gesture. We may have to keep it in our business entity.
What deity was it?
It was Panjurli,
Same as Kantara.
same as Kantara. Yeah, Panjurli is well spread in the entire region.
Okay.
Why Panjurli is because people there rely on agriculture, and Panjurli is a deity wherein she protects the crops of the, of that region. So, which is very important. See, there is security and protection of the people, security and protection of the livestock, like the cows, the cats, the dogs, everything. Most important is the protection of the crops against rain, against excess rain, and against pigs eating them, against peacocks destroying them. We have a lot of entities which comes and destroys. So we want Panjurli to protect it. So whoever comes from agricultural background, who are jamindars, jagirdars, they all have Panjurli as their protective deity.
Did your relationship change with Panjurli after this?
Yes, yes.
In what?
I have a small story to tell.
Sure.
I'm a full-time baker. I run food processing units in Karnataka. I was served a notice. I had built the biggest food court in Hubli. That's the second largest city in Karnataka. I had built a food court with about 16 stores. It was doing fantastically well. It was a flourishing business. I got a notice from corporation of that city saying that that building is not does not have fire protection. Some lame excuse from the government, and I was served a notice. And in next 2 days, the entire building was demolished.
What?
Yeah, entire food court was demolished. So it was a flourishing. It was a landmark property in the city. So it was a bar and restaurant before, and I took that off and I did a good, neat, very approachable food court in the city
For families.
for families, for everybody. So it was a great landmark. Suddenly I was served a notice and it was destroyed. That is when, until then, I was, I used to go to temples, I used to go to these Bhutakolas, but I was not very serious about it. Once this thing happened, it was a big hit for my business because if I have to speak financially, I had invested about 1 crore plus money in that. I was taken aback. I was not disappointed, but I had guts in me. That's okay. But then that is when I thought of going back to my roots. My roots in South Canara, my roots in Mudbidre, Mangalore. When I went there, me and my mother went. We visited our Kuladeva, we paid homage, tribute to our Daivas. While coming back, we take a usual road map from Hubli to Mudbidre. That day, I decided to take a different route. Let's try a different route. And then we got into the deepest of the deep jungles inside Karnataka. And while driving, on my left side, I could see a temple. On the end of this left eye, I could see one temple which I passed by. I thought I stopped my vehicle. I thought of coming back. When I came back, I saw it's a temple of Korgaja. Korgaja is again a Kshetrapala. He's a that you've seen in Kantara, the climax, this thing, Guliga, is also Kshetrapala. So Guliga and Korgaja are very similar. Very ferocious forms of Bhutas. So I went inside and I said, there was a pujari who was conversing with Korgaja in Tulu. And then we said, we've come from Hubli. We're just going by. We're just passing by. We just stopped. He said, no. Korgaja has called you. Something has happened to you in your town. Something on a very big scale has happened to you in your town. That is when Korgaja has called you here, you and your son. He was talking to my mother. So he said, Korgaja has called you and your son, and he will make sure that he will protect you and your property there in Hubli.
When you're saying he was talking to the deity, you mean he was in that room, the Bhuta?
No, this is a temple.
Okay.
So we have Korgaja temples open for public.
Okay.
Bhuta Kone is for individual properties.
Understood.
So there is a temple open for public.
And the priest was in communion with the deity.
Yes. Because through that priest, judgments pass on.
Like the priest was an oracle in some ways.
Yes. He was an oracle, and people gather there to seek justice because they cannot wait for years and years in the Indian jurisdiction. They go for a quick solution. So he was talking with that deity, and then that's when we entered. We went to that temple for the first time. We had not seen that temple before. We had not traversed through that way before. In my 32 years, 33 years, I haven't gone to that route. I was taken aback when that priest said, something happened to you in your city and he will stand there and you need not worry. Once he said that, I came back and opened 7 more stores. I had lost 1 crore. I had lost my food court. After all these things, I visited my native Kuladeva and I visited Korgaja. And when I built 7 stores, I was like, these gods are there with me to protect.
As so your business grew 7 times, technically.
Yes.
7x growth.
When the demolition happened, I had only 3 stores left. And soon after the demolition, when I went and met Korgaja, I came with 10 stores, say within 2 or 3 months.
2 or 3 months?
Yes. So this I see as a miracle or guidance given by these deities.
As in the money just came into your life.
There were a lot many people who came asking for franchise. So I gave new franchises. There were a lot many opportunities that came by for me to open.
This is what people don't understand. I want to share something from my eyes as well.
Mm-hmm.
The deity that I'm worshipping right now, I'm not going to name it. I think many people know it already, but I've been told not to talk about it often. But there is a particular deity I'm worshipping.
Mm-hmm.
I have spoken about it in a few episodes. I feel that since I've started worshipping that deity and doing the mantras upon that deity, things have started flowing much faster in my life because opportunity came and visited me.
Yes.
I feel I was the same person 2 years back, and if I'd got these opportunities 2 years back, it would have happened then. But opportunities and their timing are not in your hand.
Correct.
Which is what people need to understand.
Absolutely.
That there is something called divine timing at play.
Right.
But when you connect with the deities, maybe sometimes that divine timing can happen earlier.
Right.
Do you agree?
Absolutely. I mean, it depends on you whether you are mature enough to take that opportunity.
Or if you are open enough to have faith that this happens in people's lives.
Correct.
Do you think that when you meditate and when you take up Kriya, or when you just take up, higher forms of meditation, it's like you're kind of accumulating some kind of points or washing away your past karmas, which then allow you to have deeper access to the deities?
Exactly. This is what Kriya is very important for you to wash. You cannot wash the past karmas. You can only wash your present karmas. So if somebody does Shraddha, why Shraddha is important is you have a past life. You were born in some form in your previous life. So somebody related to you performs Shraddha today.
You mean someone from your past life?
Yes.
The family you were born into then has a descendant who has performed a puja today.
Yes.
And you'll get the benefits in this life.
Exactly. That is the science behind Shraddha. Why Shraddha is important is because of this. Because somebody doing Shraddha today to your past life will correct the misdeeds of your past life and give blessings in your today's present lives.
Shraddha is a puja done during Shraddh.
Yes, Shraddha is every year. Shraddha happens, praying that soul.
Okay, wait, we'll have to slow down a little bit. I understand what you're saying, but I just want to keep the listeners with us. There is a phase every year called Shraddh, where in Sanatani tradition, you are supposed to pray for your ancestors,
Correct.
the ones who have passed away.
Right.
Now, also according to Sanatani tradition, when someone passes away, they spend some time in other realms and then usually come back or take a birth again.
Correct.
Maybe they're born in a family which is different.
Right.
You don't know where they are.
Right.
But when you pray for their souls during Shraddh, they're benefiting in this life. So that
Exactly.
same soul, which was your great grandfather, your great great grandfather, who you may have even met,
Right.
is now some child somewhere
Yes.
who's having some possibly spiritual experience, or his life is becoming easier because you are praying for him or her.
Exactly. This is the signs that we follow.
Okay. I did something called Nagabali and Narayan Bali this year, right after my 30th birthday. They say that when you perform this kind of a puja with faith, certain karmas get lifted off your ancestors. They say 9 generations of your ancestors get benefited.
Right.
When they talk about Pitru Dosh, which is your male lineage having some kind of flaw. So maybe someone has committed a sin, someone has
Committed a suicide or had a bad death,
unnatural death,
accident, something like that.
Yeah. Their soul is going through a lot in other realms. But if you, as the descendant, break that generational curse through these slightly higher level pujas,
Right.
you not only are you relieving yourself, but you're relieving
Your Pitrus also.
who have probably also taken a birth somewhere else already.
Right.
So I personally feel, one, this puja is not in every person's life or their destiny, but if you do it, a lot will change. Have you gone through a Nagabali or Narayan Bali or anything like that? No. Okay, but in Tulu culture, is it there?
Yes, it is there. It is there.
And they tell people to do it.
Yes.
But not everyone.
Not everyone.
Why?
If a person is suffering from Kala Sarpa dosha or suffering from Naga dosha, that is when astrologers or Brahmin priests will tell people to conduct Nagabali.
So basically, in your astrological chart, if your astrologer is good enough, they can notice that you have a dosha, which is, for lack of a better word, a problem in your chart.
Correct.
And in order to correct that astrological problem, sometimes they'll recommend that you do it.
Yes.
Which is what happened with me. Like, an advanced astrologer saw it and said that, listen, go do these things.
Correct.
I felt the difference.
Yes.
Again, it's for believers to believe and non-believers to reject.
Correct.
Go on.
There are a few kshetras which are meant for the betterment of your astronomical condition, which is related to Naga dosha or Kala Sarpa dosha. Let's say there's Kukke Subramanya. You see all the Bollywood heroines going there because they might be suffering from Naga dosh or Kala Sarpa dosha.
What did you say? Kukke
Subramanya.
Is that a temple?
Yes, it's a temple dedicated to Subramanya, Kartikeya.
Okay. You see Bollywood heroines going there?
Yes.
Why specifically?
They might be facing some kind of problem or trauma with related to Nagadosh.
Same thing. Sarpadosh, Nagadosh.
Sarpadosh, Nagadosh are the same. Then there is Kala Sarpadosh. That's the bigger version of the problem.
A more intense
problem. There might be problems with regards to skin issues, psychological issues. There are issues wherein you're not getting your next progeny. So these are the problems that are being faced. So that is when the astrologers tell you to visit either Kalahasti, that's one of the most powerful kshetras of Nagadosh Parihar.
Where is it?
It's near Tirupati. It's about 60 kilometers from Tirupati. So people going to Tirupati, make sure they visit Kalahasti also.
Gotcha.
So there they take off your Nagadosha, they take off your Rahu dosha and Ketu dosha. So all three together, these three, is taken off in that place called Kalahasti.
It's one puja that you do. One karma.
Yes, one karma that we do. They make you sit in front of Rahu and Ketu idols and they conduct. It's usually public karma that they do. So people or couple sit there, say 60 couples at one point in time, sit in front of the deity and they do this karma. So it's a very, very, very famous temple in Kalahasti. Then there is this Kukke Subramanya.
Do you know how long that karma takes?
It takes about 35 minutes
That's
for
it.
each. Yes. And that is done in Rahu Kala itself. It is the only place in India where a karma is done in Rahu Kala.
What is Rahu Kala?
Rahu Kala is that 45 time period in every day that we have. That is, it is supposed to not do any good things in that time period. If you want to do something good, then they will check for the Rahu Kalam. If it is a Rahu Kal, then they'll tell you not to do it.
And
They'll tell you to skip that time period of 45 minutes.
it's different every day.
Every day. It's different every day. Monday, it is in the morning. So at 6:45, I think. So Tuesday, it's a different time in the afternoon. So every day we have this 45-day Rahu Kal. We are not supposed to do puja. We're not supposed to do any good things in that time period. Probably we take rest or do nothing.
There's so much to unpack in India.
Yes. This temple does puja on that time period.
Yeah. You know, if you told me even 3 years ago about these things, I would have had some kind of hesitation and thought of all this as ritualistic. And just life and the podcast, the people I've met, the things I've heard on the show, it's just opened me up to knowing that I don't know what I don't know.
Correct.
Even this episode, a lot of people would count it as like paranormal in some ways because it seems so ethereal. It seems so above human life.
Right. I would think the same if it was 3 years back. Today, I have experienced all these things and I'm thankful to the deities and the gods that have made me experience all these things. So I have been to Kalahasti. I have been to Kukke Subramanya. So Kukke Subramanya is the place where he protects the Nagas. Subramanya protects the Nagas. Garudas attack the Nagas from the sky. So these people rely on Subramanya to protect. So that's when Subramanya comes and protects them. So if you go to Subramanya Kshetra, that is Kukke Subramanya, if you type Kukke Subramanya in Google, you will find 1,000, 10,000 millions of posts about Kukke Subramanya. So Naga dosha is said to go or ward off or diminish if you visit that place.
Okay. Have you ever felt fear during a Bhuta Kola?
No,
Never.
never. Because they are there to protect us.
Okay. Even when you've gone for a fierce Kola?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
I haven't feared at all.
Have you seen people who fear it?
Yes, probably people from other part of Karnataka or other part of India, they will fear, but not the localites.
Because it's in your blood.
Probably. And see, the ecology or the entire demography in Mangalore is such that everything is dark. Because of the intense growth of forest, everything is dark. And we see female student of say 10 years standing there in the bus stand. And there's no one else. This doesn't happen in Bangalore or Hubli or any part of India. Not in Bombay, nowhere else. Only in Mangalore it can happen. A small kid of 10 years standing in the bus stand without any fear, thinking that there is a Panjurli or a Daiva protecting her. So this entire belt, I myself get goosebumps looking at the people's fearlessness. Probably it is engraved in them that there is Bhuta that is protecting them. So that is the reason, that is the entire purpose of why there is the practice of Bhuta Kola.
Before I let you go, there was one topic that you had brought up outside, which is Wrath of the Deities.
Right.
What does that mean?
We call it as Upadra of deities, wherein if it is not satisfied, not pleased with any of your acts, any of your act means the family's act or the village's act, something might have disturbed them, so they start giving you problems.
What could the acts be?
Say sudden flooding of the agriculture estate.
No, I mean, what have the villagers or families done to upset the deity?
Probably they haven't conducted Bhuta Kola. They haven't, say, I have organized Bhuta Kola this year and I have promised that I will give some metallic throne or something, anklet or something to Bhuta Kola. I haven't delivered that promise. That is when I may, or the village may face the wrath of the bhutas or the upadra of bhutas. So that is when they start acting. So this is when we see that the presence of bhutas are very much relevant. I've been hearing such stories from my grandmother, my paternal grandmother, who used to say a lot of such things because she was going from one village to another to go to a school. So she used to walk, say, 8-10 kilometers, and she used to tell a lot of stories. Well, while coming back from the school, she used to see a diya, or just that light, that spark, traveling from one plant or one tree to another. And these kids, school going kids, used to fear that, as to they could see going from one tree to another, one tree to another, all the way till they reach home. And when they used to come and ask, my grandmother used to come and ask her mother, she would say that it is the bhuta who is protecting you. She's coming, and that bhuta is coming with you from the school to your house, protecting you. When she said, I used to just put it aside and say all these are folklores, folk tales, exaggerated tales. And now today I am sitting here with 100% belief that whatever stories my grandmother told me as a child is all true.
Yeah. I think our generation collectively as Indians is also waking up to
Yes.
our ancient culture, which is why stories like this are out there on the internet. I
Very
wouldn't have done a podcast like this even 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Right.
But things are very different now. And I strongly believe it's the will of the deities to have this knowledge turn into public knowledge. I think it was sort of cultural, sort of secret knowledge where only that stretch of India knew about it. And now today all of India has access to this knowledge at least.
Yes.
Rithwik,
I thank my Daivas for allowing me, for selecting me to be a part of this very famous TRS show.
I know.
I thank you to give this opportunity.
It's
to
not
talk
me.
about it.
It's my Daivas and it's my producers. It's these two elements.
Yeah.
I'm just glad we got to do this on this show. I know that whenever we're doing episodes like this, it's not my will or my guest's will. It's the will of higher beings.
Yes.
So thank you, bro. I
Yes.
hope that we did justice to the topic.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
So that was the episode for today. I know this was a slightly niche episode, but I'd definitely like to know from you guys about the other niches, especially when it comes to Indian culture, Indian history, Indian spirituality. What are the other things you'd like to learn? What are the other things you'd like for us to speak about on TRS? TRS is only getting started, shaping up because of you, the viewer, you, the listener. So send in your suggestions, drop your comments. We're always reading, we're always studying, we're always trying to give you the best possible work. Lots of love. We will be back very soon.